What's going on, you guys? Kensou here once again. New video. You already know what time it is. It's definitely strive time. This time around, we're going to go over another match of the latest batch of matches from ARCSYS, Soul versus Nagoriyuki. And without any further ado, let's take a look at this because there's a lot we can talk about here, especially revolving around Nagoriyuki. So let's check it out. All right, so what we got. Whoa, big counter hit. Jump dust, no follow-up. But this already, dude, we're not even 9 seconds into this match and we already got stuff. So it's pretty apparent that, you know, Nagoriyuki's follow-ups from his command dash are not all safe, and or you can kind of keep it up. You know, you can get punished. We did see Nage throw Goichi in the previous exhibitions, and here we have Soul just uppercutting and just blasting through and not allowing him to continue that kind of pressure. So something to keep in mind, that you can punish him with an invincible or throw him prior to him going into his follow-ups. Of course, that is part of his mix-up game. It's part of his pressure, so you do have to guess correctly to some degree. But let's keep going. Let's see what else we got to see here. Oh, big punish. Big damage. Whoa, Berserk activation. Whoa, lots of chip damage here. Did y'all see that? Yikes. First, let's unpack this really quickly. On activation of Berserk mode, whenever the blood gauge is filled in the bottom right here, the activation doesn't do any damage, right? But it seems to give him hard knockdown. So basically pretty much makes him safe. He gets a safe activation. Providing you're in the corner, barring, looks like he gets a pretty beefy situation because he's already up before Soul. So it's good to see. And the chip damage from this attack is crazy. Yikes. One more time for the one time. Keep your eyes fixated on the top left. Boom. Boom. That's like getting hit by like one of the normals in the game. Yikes. That chip damage though. Alright, let's continue. Oh. Get to put the sword back on safely. We get to put the mask back on. Oh, first use of quick RC, which is pretty huge. Some of the matches I've seen so far, they haven't really been using the quick RC, so it's good to kind of see it here. It's pretty scary. Reversal command grab. What a guy! What a guy! Who does reversal command grab? On Potemkin players. Makes sense. Woo, big damage from 5K once again. $5K. Wow, 3 pieces of knockdown. Major damage. Seems fairly neutral if he goes for command dash. He's probably plus a decent amount here from this knockdown. There it is again, the DP. Oh, gets the dust. Hey, look, it's an air combo. I thought Strive didn't have air combos. Tense situation. Also, one thing to point out really quickly is the stuff in which I've showed you guys in Guilty Gear 1301. It is still very prevalent. Running and FD stopping your runs, or FD break, if you will. You can see Soul here on the left utilizing FD breaking, as it is still a thing. It's still important. Just because it's a new version of the game does not mean that the core fundamentals are not important. Now, this here is very unfortunate because Nagoriyuki sadly got into Berserk mode and then got punished for it. That's something I think that's going to be very annoying for Nagoriyuki players. Managing the blood gauge and making sure that you don't, you know, get blown up for over gaining gauge. It's crazy, right? Like, the thing that you gain that's supposed to kind of keep you in check, like, it can be your demise. So punish, big damage. Oh, none there either. No FD breaking. What a whiff punish. What a whiff punish. With heavy mob. Yikes. What a whiff punish. I kind of want to take a look at that again. Yeesh. And there was actually something else to unpack there too. Really quickly. I'm not sure if you guys caught that. So there's like a double whammy here. Soul just blocks this move and is able to move before Nagoriyuki can fully recover. Is Just Guard going to be really good against Nagoriyuki? Who knows? But this in particular is another big thing about Nagoriyuki, is whiffing normals. Now, I'm under the impression that this is like a CPU because that's quite the reaction. If that's a human reacting to this, they're amazing. Because holy crap, what that is a whiff punish for the ages to hit a super input like that right on whiff. I'm sorry, I'm definitely inclined to believe that this is like, this has got to be a CPU. But regardless, boom, big boy damage, and then ends the game for it. Good old Soul, Soul. Yeah, don't be whiffing. Yeah. We learned a good bit here, mostly about Nagoriyuki. So let's go ahead and cut to the recap and see what we've learned from this video. Alright guys, so let's check out the recap. Okay, let's start with Soul. There isn't too much to talk about Soul. We've seen Soul pretty much up and down through just about any and everything. He's been in just about all the footage, so there's only so much to talk about here. But I do have a big concern about Heavy Mob Cemetery, or HMC for short. My concern about HMC is basically it does have its pros and its cons. So let's talk about the pros and then we'll get to the cons. Pros, HMC definitely does a lot of big damage, right? But the cons, now this is a con to me that I think a lot of people will probably disregard, but I want to present some things to you guys so you can kind of understand why I'm kind of concerned about the super. Of course, the damage and the whiff punishment is phenomenal, all that's cool, right? But the biggest issue I have with it is it loses positioning. So essentially, if you are cornering your opponent and you opt for HMC, opting for HMC, while it may do bigger damage, it doesn't leave Soul in the best position. I've re-looked at this footage constantly, you know, kind of try to check the spacing on it. I will show you guys what I have found. And the spacing isn't the best. I'm sure he can probably maybe meaty a button of some kind, but actually being able to run up to them and start pressure again doesn't seem to be a thing. Of course, it doesn't have to always lead to an OK situation. I've definitely stated that before. But I think because it side swaps, I think using Tyrant Rave in the corner is probably going to be like a better option if you want to go for a super. Just because HMC side swaps. You might have to choose damage over positioning. So instead of it being like a typical damage over Oki type of thing, or, you know, damage over the knockdown game type of deal, it ends up becoming, you know, do I want big damage and lose corner, or do I want to hold on to good damage, you know, not big damage, but good damage and keep corner? So just something to think about for Soul players. Everything else I've seen so far is, like I said, it's pretty standard for Soul. Not too much to really talk about there. But even though there's not much to talk about with Soul, we do have a good bit to talk about with Nagoriyuki. Nagoriyuki's standing kick is looking like it's one of his go-to buttons. as it seems like it's one of his fastest normals outside of Crouching Punch. He definitely got some pretty sizable damage off of it, just linking, you know, standing kick into the knockdown slash. Looked pretty good. So I think it's going to be a pretty good poke from close-ish to mid-ish range. Not too heavy range because Nagoriyuki has some pretty specific ranges he can play at. His command dash follow-ups can be punished with good reactions as there are gaps in between them. We've already seen this before, as I mentioned, between the match of Goichi and Nage. You saw the command dash get thrown, and in this one you got to see the follow-ups come out and the Soul player just uppercut straight through it, saying, no, you cannot do this for free. You're not going to get away with this. Also, certain follow-ups from the command dash seem pretty unsafe. So the big slash down, I don't know what the name of the moves are, so you gotta bear with me here. The big slash where he pretty much slices downward. It looks like it's a two-piece follow-up to that. Basically, that move looked pretty punishable on block. In fact, you can see on Soul side of the screen, you'll see it say punish. It is very important to note that you want to use this move. If you want to use it in pressure, you should probably have meter attached to it. Because if you don't have, you know, Roman cancel available, it's definitely punishable on block. And if they punish you, it could lead to some big damage and will probably cause you to use your burst. So keep that in mind when using your follow-ups with Nagoriyuki, because that's pretty important. But so more than anything else from this video, the biggest thing I wanted to talk about was Nagoriyuki's Berserk mode. I think this is the biggest thing here because it's the first time we get to see it in full force. So the Berserk mode life drain is pretty massive. So I believe that getting it kind of early on might be important because you do need to manage your health pretty well with the character if you intend to use that mode. Another thing I noted was if you burst while in Berserk mode, the blood gauge and your HP still seem to drain regardless. I've paused and repaused and unpaused and repaused this footage to double check and see if there was any kind of pause in the blood drain or the HP. HP seems to just drain indefinitely, and because of the footage, it's not, you know, in 4K, and, you know, I don't have the game in front of me. It does look to be that the blood gauge does not stop on the burst. It does kind of seem that way, but we'll know on full release. But as of right now, it looks like both of them drain both at the same time. There's no stopping, nothing. Now, in addition to all this, his chip damage in this mode looks to be increased drastically. Basically, his chip damage is looking so big and went from doing like, okay, this is doing chip damage, and to now it's like, okay, you chipped me with this move and it hit like you hit me with like a small combo or like a big normal. I guess that's kind of ARCSYS' way of just kind of balancing out how much life that you're losing in comparison to how much life you can take away from them. Not even on hit, but just on block alone. So that's pretty sizable if you ask me. When going back to normal mode from Berserk mode, there seems to be a freeze animation. So it's unsure if it only freezes during combos, but during an RC it definitely allows you to kind of keep it going. So it's like blah blah RC, mask on, and then you get to continue. I'm very concerned whether or not that freeze still happens even in neutral, because if it does happen in neutral, that does mean he'll be pretty safe on deactivation or whenever your blood gauge drains completely. It's pretty apparent that comboing into Berserk mode will probably be the most ideal. So managing the blood gauge for the combo prior to that would be important, because unfortunately on activation, if the blood gauge just so happens to build up in neutral just on its own, Nagoriyuki will just go berserk and he is completely vulnerable. And honestly, I think that kind of sucks for him, because there's no kind of super armor on it. But on the flip side, given what he's capable of doing, you don't want to make the activation too strong, because it already looks like you get a hard knockdown situation in the corner. It's just unfortunate that it can activate in neutral on its own. So I think, again, I can't stress it enough, like maintaining that gauge is going to be a very important thing for the character and the players that intend to use Nago. So be ready to manage that resource. That is going to be your lifeline. Also, one small thing, not really Berserk mode related, but just something I just kind of spotted. His command grab does give him a small amount of health back. Funnily enough, ARCSYS is doing all these little nitpick things that try to make you kind of like dig deep for things, and they do it right at the end of a match when Soul is just pretty much gonna die. The amount of HP he gets back seems pretty decent. It's kind of hard to see it, but it's there. It's not a whole lot, but it's something. So just a little tidbit on his command grab. Alright you guys, so that's gonna do it for the recap here. Pretty much saw what I needed to see. If there's anything extra that you guys saw that I might have missed, feel free to leave it in the comments below, and let's keep this healthy discussion going, because as I said before in a previous video, the discussions we've been having in the comments have been great. It's good seeing people getting an eye for things in the game. So hopefully we can keep these discussions up and learn more about Strive as we push forward. I will catch you guys in the next video. Have yourselves a good one, and stay safe out here in these COVID streets, yeah? Deuces, gooses.